Imagine a podcast that takes you on a journey through 20,000 years of history. Not just any history, but the untold stories of Africa, the cradle of civilization. What if I told you that the richest man in history wasn't a tech billionaire or a European monarch, but an African king named Mansa Musa? In 1324, he went on a pilgrimage to Cairo and gave away so much gold that it devalued currency for 12 years. This is just one of the countless stories uncovered in African Story podcasts. Let's dive in. Here's what you were never taught. Until 2010, comprehensive African history was largely confined to academic textbooks. Then came Ken Stevens, the creator of History of Africa, a podcast that has changed everything. Launched in 2010, this podcast covers everything from prehistoric human migrations out of Africa to the Great Zimbabwe civilization and the Kingdom of Kush. Unlike most history podcasts that start with colonialism, Ken begins with the origins of humanity itself. He uses African primary sources, like the Timbuktu Chronicles, and oral traditions, which are often overlooked in Western education. One of the most fascinating aspects of this podcast is its focus on lesser-known civilizations. Take the Mali Empire, for example. Mansa Musa's wealth was so immense that it challenges the European narrative of Africa as the Dark Continent. Or consider Great Zimbabwe, a sprawling stone city built by the Shona people between 1100 and 1450 CE. Early 20th century British colonizers tried to claim it was built by Phoenicians or Arabs, denying African architectural ingenuity. But Ken's podcast sets the record straight. This isn't just about correcting historical inaccuracies. It's about reclaiming identity. In Nigeria, Kenya, and South Africa, young people are using these narratives to challenge Eurocentric education systems and fuel a modern Pan-African cultural movement. The podcast alignment with Cambridge University's Journal of African History ensures that these stories are not just folklore but verified historical facts. So why were these stories buried for so long? The answer lies in colonialism. European powers needed to justify their exploitation by portraying Africa as a continent without history or culture. But the truth is far richer. Oral traditions, once dismissed as myth, are now validated as historical fact. This shift is monumental. Today, these podcasts are not just educational tools but also economic engines. Creators like Ken Stevens have built sustainable businesses, proving that African history is a viable content market in the digital age. And politically, episodes on the Mali Empire and Great Zimbabwe are cited in debates about land rights and resource sovereignty. So what does this all mean? It means Africa's history is not just a series of events but a living, breathing narrative that continues to shape the present. As we reflect on these stories, let's ask ourselves, what else have we been taught to overlook? Because the hidden power of African Story podcast is not just in the past they reveal but in the future they inspire.